I'm afraid you got a little bit of a preview of my face just then as I was getting ready because I hadn't pressed the right button. Let me just stop my other stream going at the second until I can hear myself speaking. Yeah, and I can hear that coming. There we go. Let's get rid of that then. Hello, everybody. You should hopefully have the audio now. Let me just jump over and see loads of things coming through. Chris Robinson, good morning to you. Miss Marilyn Darling, hello. Yeah, I had an issue, an opportunity. I don't have issues, I only have opportunities. Let me see, why aren't my comments coming up? Let me just redo this. My OBS studio crashed just before I went live, so I think a lot of my stuff that I've got set up hasn't worked. So why aren't I getting comments coming through? Oh, it's going to be one of those days today, isn't it? Oh well, let's see how we go. So we've got Miss Marilyn Darling, yet no audio. Hopefully that should be fixed. Marie, hello from Michigan. Welcome to you. Tom Morley, welcome. Let me see if I can get this thing working. I don't know. Don't you hate technology? What I might need to do is close that. Get this going again. I don't know. Okay. Get to overlay URL. Copy that. Come to OBS. Paste that. Okay. And let's see. Do we get it coming up now? So Will Hodge, howdy all. Yes, we've got the technology working. We're cooking with gas now. Let's see what else works or doesn't work. How's everybody been going this week? Apart from technology problems. So today, let me go here. So yeah, Marilyn Darling. Yeah, so everything's coming through now. Blonde Scales 1. Yeah, I think it's been one of those mornings. I was up dead early, you know. I could have started this half an hour ago. And then as soon as I hit go, it was just one of those days. Everything goes wrong. So audio's good now. Yeah, Blonde Scales 1. Some opportunities. Marilyn's got a drinking opportunity. I've always got drinking opportunities. Could be why I'm a bit off with it today. I was sat at home last night, you know, as you do, just minding my own business, watching a little bit of TV, and I got viciously assaulted by a bottle of wine. It forced me to drink it all. It was awful, I tell you. So a couple more hellos, sure is. I love the fact we're seeing this conversation going on. Yeah, Blonde Scales 1, we can fix it, we have the technology. $6 million man springs to mind when I read that. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today. Today, I'm really asking for, yeah, Marilyn, yeah, that's awful, terrible me. It was a beautiful, the wine I had was, it's called Villa Maria. It's made in New Zealand, and it's a Sauvignon Blanc. The one I had last night was the 2022, what's the word, vintage. It's not really vintage, but the year it was made was 2022. I've got to be honest, I was a little bit disappointed with it. I've loved Villa Maria for, I want to say at least 20 years, and normally have, you know, plenty of bottles to try. And normally it's got a very like grassy taste to it, is the best way I can describe it. But the one I had last night, it didn't seem to have that grassiness to it. You know, some people might call it maybe asparagus, but it was more flinty. It was not my favourite vintage, so I don't know if I'll be having another bottle of the 2022. Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today. So today, I say what I want to do is actually ask for your input and your advice. Let me just get the other screen to what I want. I've had, it'd be about 2 months ago now, I've had a couple of letters from people, some like pen pal letters, and I want to write replies to them, obviously, but I've been really struggling with what to put in them, and because of that, I've been putting it off. So what I'd like to ask today, I'm going to pop over here. This is Obsidian, my knowledge management system. I'd love to get comments, and I know it's very difficult because you can't actually say them. We have to do typing, but I really want ideas from people. What can I put in a pen letter? What should I be putting in it? When you write a letter, what are you putting into that letter? When you're receiving a letter, what sort of things do you like? Just to give me an idea of what to include, because I've got to be honest, it's something quite new to me. It's something I've never really done before. So I thought, let's tap into the knowledge of all the people that are joining the stream. So whilst you're all having a quick think about that and the delay is catching up, let me just have my teacup today is the Dark Knight Batman there. There we go. Obviously it's my mint tea at the moment still. So whilst you're thinking about that, I'm going to touch on Star Trek. I watched I think it was episode 9, and of the current series. And this series, I've loved every single episode. It's been absolutely awesome. I think each episode, it's in the top 10 of episodes I've seen. Really good, very good stories. And we got to this week's episode, and I think that's the worst episode of Star Trek I have ever seen. Really hated it. The story the story itself was actually good. I quite liked the idea of the story, but I'm trying not to be too spoilery here. But part of the story, what they did, it caused everybody to start breaking out into spontaneous singing and dancing and expressing their feelings. And to me, it's just not Star Trek. Star Trek isn't a song and dance. I think what they're trying to do, I think they've looked at Schmigadoon, and I will be honest, I really do like Schmigadoon. I think that's absolutely awesome. It's designed as like that musical type thing. And I don't mind musicals, but to me, it was just it was nonsense because, obviously thinking about it, and a couple of points that I really came up with is, why is it making people sing and dance? That's altering their behaviour. And then the other thing I was thinking, well, why does it affect, all these different species the exact same way? We had the Klingons in there, you had different species on the Enterprise, and they all would have acted the same. And I can't understand how that would happen because, surely the physiology of the brain of different species is different. It's just, it was, I don't know what it was. And then even how it happened, I love the way they triggered it, the idea of blasting the music into this subspace rift. But then the energy coming back, I would expect it to affect the computers or the systems on the ship. So, it really was really disappointed. I'm just going to stick with talking Star Trek. So we've got from Marilyn, I love Strange New Worlds. So far this season, as I said, it's been brilliant. And then, the story was fine. And hate musicals. Unless it's supposed to be a musical, this is a problem with. It'd be lovely to be able to select a load of these and get them all on screen at once. Phantom of the Opera. I really do I love musical theatre. I think I've got to be honest, the best musical theatre I've ever seen was Spamalot. I don't know if you've ever had the chance to see that. That is so funny. But I love musical theatre. I love Schmigadoon. It's a show which is designed as a musical. And Marilyn there, it's showing they're doing something they've never done before. I agree. It was all right. It's good that they're challenging it. Tom Morley, it made no sense, but it was a bit fun. And I've got to be honest, I think that their singing voices were quite good. It's just, I don't know. It was just, I don't know what it was. It just didn't sit with me. Chris Robinson, the Klingons singing is usually hilarious. Yeah, it was. I'd have loved to have seen them do more of an operatic one with the Klingons, because that's based off, which was a film where they had the Klingons, they had the chance to come on board the Enterprise with Captain Kirk. Was it number 5 or something like that? Not Voyage Home, Undiscovered Country. And they were going on about opera in there, I believe. And Worf was always going on about Klingon opera. I'll come back to that, because that's the previous episode with crossover with Lower Decks. I loved that. I've actually watched that a couple of times. I do like Lower Decks as well. Really interesting. I hope they do. It'd be nice if they do that another time, another crossover. I'd have loved to have seen a crossover with Prodigy as well. I think that'd be interesting. Tom Morley, heavily auto-tuned. Yeah, I think it was. But it was just, as I said, I just wanted to get that off my chest, because I love Star Trek, and I was just so disappointed. Right, let's go back to my question. So I'm going to fetch in my keyboard, because I'm going to start typing things now. Let me move everything over. Hopefully I don't destroy what's going on. Okay, so we're talking about pen pal letters. So let me go over. You can see my screen, so you can see me typing. We've got things that have happened in the past. I know you're going to be so much fun watching me type, isn't it? Weather, fancy food. You can see how bad my spelling is. Fancy food. Cool movies. I could write a massive one about Star Trek at the moment, I can tell you. Cool movies. Bit of history. Thank you, Marie. Why I like certain brands, ink colours, etc. Certain. That was right. Spell it right. Certain. Why aren't you? There we go. It decided that it would fix that for me. Right. Themes from their letter. I'm just trying to summarise these as I'm going through. Jumping down. Oops. BJ, welcome. An easy letter to use a pen and ink you love, and just talk about what you enjoyed the two. Okay, let's jump over. What enjoy? I'm just going to put the combo using. See, my spelling is terrible. I've got Grammarly installed, just the free version, so that's helping me keep things. Hello, Marilyn Darling again. Marilyn, TV shows. I've been watching quite a few TC shows. I've been watching some older shows lately. TV shows. At the moment with my wife, we're watching Midsummer Murders. So we try and watch, a number of episodes a week. One of them really tickled me, and I started chuckling, and my wife looked at me as if to say, "What's wrong with you, you plonker?" It was one of the earlier seasons, and it had what's his name now? Anyway, it's the guy who plays the elf in Lord of the Rings. I can see him. Anyway, he was in it, and he was one of the ones that was murdered. And just after they'd found his body, the first place they went to was a cottage, and it was called Lothlorien. And Barnaby, and I think it was still Troy, were having a conversation as we were walking up to the door about how it's Lothlorien. It's from they were describing this weird book called Lord of the Rings. When I looked at the episode actually aired the year prior to the first Lord of the Rings movies coming out. So obviously the guy had been cast. I'm going to have to Google this. Let me just go. Lord of the Rings. Oops, helps if I use the right keyboard. Lord of the Rings. There we are. Orlando Bloom, that's it, who plays Legolas. But yeah, it was just, so that's one of the things we've been watching. I've been watching a lot of DC stuff. I've just finished the last season of Titans. Before that, I'd watched Doom Patrol. Really like them. So I've got loads of TV programs I can talk about. Let me come back here. So TV shows, places travelled, pens and inks used. Should be highlighting these as I'm going through. So there was a couple from Marilyn. Chris Robinson. If they're in a different country, haven't travelled, so tell them a bit about your country. I like that idea because most of the people that are obviously watching this channel, to be honest, most of them are based in America, so that's something interesting. Answer any questions they may have. Blonde Scales 1 had international pen pals. That's a good one from Marilyn. Other people watch on the internet. Into fountain pens. Hobbies. Thanks, Chris. Marilyn Darling loved Midsummer Murders. To be honest, I hadn't watched it. My wife used to watch it. She watches all these crime stuff. And it was only about 6 months ago we started watching it. So we're up now to season 11. Just about to start season 12. I think this is the last one with John Nettles. I'm going back a few years. I have seen John Nettles live on the stage. It was many years ago. It was actually he played King Rat in a pantomime. He was so funny. Going off the thing, I love pantomimes. So that's one of the things I do miss in Australia. There's no pantomimes near where we live. I used to love that. Every year we used to go to a different pantomime. Seen loads of big stars in them. They're so funny. Tom Morley asked about where they live. If I've visited, tell story about it. Many long years ago, there was a pipe tobacco shop in Hot Springs, AR, Arizona, called the South Farthing. Yeah, I love that. That really ties in well, doesn't it, with Lord of the Rings? Lord of the Rings is one of those books. I must have read it, I want to say at least 10 times now. Really love it. I read about 6 months ago, I read the Silmarillion. I've started to read the Silmarillion. I started trying to read that one beginning with the S. First, about 20 years ago, I just could not get on with it. Came back to it, I'd say, about 6 months ago and flew through it. Lord of the Rings, first time I read that, I was 15. And it's actually, I believe it's still, I can't remember, I may have replaced it, but I think it's still the same one I had from when I was 15, the actual book I've got. And the first 100 pages took me about 3 months to read. I just found it very slow, very hard going. Once I got into it, I flew through it. Once after that first 100 pages, I think it might have taken me about 3 weeks to finish the rest of it. Absolutely love The Lord of the Rings. To me, it's just such a nice story. Marilyn, don't talk about the spiders. The spiders aren't the problem. We've got spiders we get here. We get about that size. Let me just go back to the camera. And you can see about that size with the legs. We get them outside the house. They're called golden orb. The body's about that big, and with the legs are like that. And I don't think they're venomous from memory, but they actually build their web overnight, and they've built it a few times between the sides of the patio at the front, which is where you go out. And the first time they did it, I didn't realise, well, I nearly had a heart attack. I'd walked into this web, and there was this massive bloody spider right in my face. When we lived over in Victoria, the house we lived in, we did have quite a few red-backed spiders around it. They don't bother you. Over here, we get a load of like normal house spiders. We get huntsman spiders. Try to leave them alone because they're good at hunting down other spiders. Not really venomous. It's the snakes rather than the spiders, I think. I'd lived here in Perth 7 years before I saw my first snake. And then within this period of a month, I saw 3 of them and haven't seen any since. But where we live, the front of our house opens onto a road. Then over the road, there's what's called a scientific park, which is all natural bush. So we've got kangaroos. We see, most days we can go out the front and see kangaroos over the road. I know there's snakes there. We often see them on the road. Dead ones, that is, not live ones. So far, been lucky, haven't had one in the house. And the snakes that we get around here, they're dugites and brown snakes. Both of them fairly venomous. Arkansas, so where I was saying about, was it AZ? Let me just, AR, Arkansas, thank you for that. Chris Robinson, yeah, the Silmarillion's very hard to get into. I did find it a struggle. But again, once I got about a third of the way in and started to see the structure of it, rather than thinking of it as a story, I actually watched a YouTube video this morning where they described it as, think about it as like a Bible, and it's easier to get your head around then. Blonde Scales 1, Dad read The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings to my brother and I when we were young. Yeah, I love The Hobbit as well. I enjoyed the films, but I love the books. I love reading, as we see at the end. Marilyn, no, don't talk about the spiders. So I'll put here, don't talk about spiders. I'll put all snakes. Yeah, I know what you mean. I did that very first time. I'll say we see them all the time now. I mean, one of them, we keep joking we're going to start charging it rent because it just seems to be there all the time. But they're good. They eat other insects, so they're not that much of an issue. Terribly afraid of spiders. I say we had redbacks. We've had one a type of spider we used to get a lot. I know I shouldn't talk about spiders now. When we were in Victoria, was white-tailed spiders. They're the ones which I didn't like. Not that they were venomous. It's just I don't know what it was about. But if they bite you, the whitetails could cause necrosis, is what we were told. Never saw it, but never been bitten by a spider. I mean, we've been here nearly 20 years. Snakes and spiders are terrifying. As long as spiders stay outside, that's where the best is, outside. Chris Robinson read Lord of the Rings when he was 9. I don't know if I was about, I'd say 15, I think. That was really the first like fantasy book I read. It really got me into fantasy. After that, I started reading books by David Eddings. They're a lot easier to read. They're more, I would say, they're like young literature, young fantasy. But really, I love David Eddings. Read all of his books, and I used to, when they were released, I used to book days off. So when they were released, I could sit and just read it all in that one day. I also read Stephen Donaldson, The Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, after reading Lord of the Rings. Really good books. Yeah, Marilyn. Yeah, otherwise they'll never want to come to Australia. Honestly, I've been here 20 years. I used to go camping all the time. I say we live opposite a big open area. Don't see many snakes. Don't see many spiders. We lived in Victoria for, I want to say, about 7 years. Didn't see a single snake the whole time we were there. We used to see the red bats and stuff, but as long as you don't bother them, they won't bother you. White-tailed spider, that's it. I haven't seen any of them since we moved. They actually used to come into the house a lot, and a couple of times I took a shirt out of the cupboard and there was one sat on the shirt. But, just carefully scrape them off and then not so carefully stamp on them, and there was no problems. Tom Morley, like Stephen Donaldson. Yeah, I haven't finished. There's the third Chronicles came out, I want to say about 10 years ago. I haven't read them, and maybe I need to get onto those. Marilyn, yeah, necrotizing, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that one. Chris Robinson, yeah, that's the one. Marilyn Darling, Southern California. Is that rattlesnakes you have there in that area as well? David Buckheister, absolutely. I've read the whole of The Wheel of Time. It's a shame he died before I could finish it. I know that he'd left very detailed notes, which Brandon Sanderson used to finish off the series. I haven't watched the TV adaptation that was out last year. Maybe I need to do that. It's on the list of stuff to watch, but there's only so much time, and I don't like to get into too much TV. I like watching stuff with a wife, and I'll watch some of my DC stuff. What am I? Oh, Good Omens is one I've started. I've only watched the first episode of season 2. Liked that. It's a nice comedy. Marilyn, stomp, stomp, stomp. Absolutely. If you see a spider and you can kill it, I tend to kill it. I'm glad I don't live in Sydney or in that sort of eastern seaboard, because over there they've got funnel web spiders, and they look horrible, and I think they are fairly venomous. Marilyn, rattlesnakes, brown recluse spiders, scorpions. Oh, I don't know if I'd like to see a scorpion. Although I'd love to see a scorpion under UV. I think the idea where they glow under UV light is really good. Anyway, thank you for your help. I've now got a nice list of things which hopefully will help me to get in and start writing letters. Any other ideas you have, though, do drop them in the comments or in the chat, and I will look at them. So what I'm going to do, switch over. I'm going to scoot over first. Switch over to the phone camera, and we'll take a quick look at the pens that I've been using this week. So Sunday's pen was the Diplomat Aero. This is out of ink now, so I won't be writing with this one. It's a really nice pen. In there I had a red ink. I haven't cleaned it yet. I've got about 3 pens to clean at the moment. Broad nib on this, very nice pen. It does feel a bit short. I don't like using it posted. It's usable though, and it is quite nice. The section's metallic, but it feels like it's got a little bit of a texture to it. Let me see if I can show that better up here. My fingers don't seem to slip too much on this, so it's not too bad. I hold my pen's quite low anyway. The only downside about this pen, which a couple of people have asked, is the clip. The clip just really never bothered fitting properly since I got it. Doesn't bother me though, because I don't really use a clip, so that's not been of any problem to me. Monday's pen. This is out of ink as well. This was the Fountain Pen Revolution Darjeeling. It's a plastic pen. It's a very light pen, but it was only about $20. So it's a fairly inexpensive pen. You'll actually be seeing it in another video coming up shortly, which was why it was inked up. One of the things I don't like about this is the converter. It's what I call like a push-pull. I don't know, there might be a proper name for it. So you push that down and pull it back up. Works all right. It's just I like the screw ones. I find them more convenient for me. This is something I haven't tried. I don't intend to try it, but I think you could easily eyedropper this. It's all plastic, loads and loads and loads of threads. So I think a little bit of silicone grease, a reasonably sized O-ring, that would be quite nice. Tuesday's pen. So this one I think has still got ink in it. Let's just have a quick look. Yeah, there's a little bit of ink left in that, so I might get another day out of this one. This is a Jinhao, and it's a Jinhao 85. So we can write with this one. Jinhao 85. It's got a gorgeous Fude nib in it. I love this nib. It's so nice. The pen was extremely expensive. It was $7.50. The ink, I'm holding the pen up this way so we can see the difference in the widths. It's by Diamine and it's Autumn Oak. Very nice pen, very nice ink. Quite enjoy using this. I say for $7.50, it's a bit of a steal. My next pen, again, fairly inexpensive pen. This is a Wingsun. This one's a vacuum filling pen. Don't have a lot of ink in here, so again, another one I expect to finish during the week. So we've got here a Wingsun 3013, and this was $8 Aussie. Oh no, it's a fine nib, and it was $8 Aussie. The ink is by Herbin. Herbin Eclat de Saphir. Oh, Eclat de Saphir, isn't it? Eclat de Saphir. Really nice ink. Got that like little hints of purple coming through in this one. Next pen, again, not a lot of ink left in here. Bit of a story this week. Most of the pens are getting fairly empty. So this was from Thursday, and it's the Narvalo Skullkill. Got a medium Narwhal Narvalo nib. It was $89 Aussie when I bought it. I believe it's gone up. It's about 92, I think, or something like that now. And the ink is Noodlers Navajo Turquoise. It's another nice ink. I don't use it often enough. It's gorgeous blue colour or turquoise colour. We then have another massive price jump for the next pen. This is the Pelican, and it's the M205, so it's a steel nibbed version. I do find with this I need to use it posted. It does feel quite small. Very nice nib there. It's got like a bit of a bounce to it. It's a broad nib. And it was 152 Aussie dollars. The ink is by Diamine. And it's royal blue. And then the final pen that I've used this week is a Visconti Breeze. Overpriced pen, I will be honest, very overpriced. It's all right, it writes nicely, but for what it cost, I think, you know, it should have been half the price, I've got to be honest, but that's just my personal view. This is a Visconti Breeze. It's the blueberry colour. It's a broad nib. When I got it, it was 163 Aussie dollars. I say I do feel it's overpriced. And the ink is by Diamine. And it's Red Dragon. I'm using Red Dragon in a couple of pens at the moment. I'm going to be recording a video, maybe not next week, it might be the week after, I'm not sure. Sorry. Where I'm going to be comparing Diamine Red Dragon against Diamine Spiced Apple. So I'm just doing a bit more experimenting with the Red Dragon. I've used Spiced Apple quite a bit. So that one will be coming up. Then today, I won't write with it. Oh, no, go on, I will write with it. Today, got the Platinum 3776. Platinum 3776. Medium nib. This was 200 Aussie dollars when I've got it. It's gone up in price now. The ink is Diamine Shiraz. You'll be seeing this, I think it's Tuesday's video. You'll be seeing that. One of the issues I've got with this, I don't know why, but can you see here with the converter, with the ink all over the place? I'm just going to quickly fetch in a bit of kitchen towel to wipe this off. This is a platinum converter, and I needed to use it in my Preppy a while back, so I used it in the Preppy, and now it doesn't seem to fit properly into the 3776. So I'm going to have to get myself another converter when I next do a pen order. Bit disappointed about that, so I have to be careful with this. Otherwise, as you can see, I ended up with the ink all over the place. Let's pop that away. Let's go back to the camera. Scoot back over. Right, let's go and have another quick look through the comments. BJ read the Lord of the Rings trilogy in 5 days. Wow, that's awesome. Still hasn't made it through the Silmarillion. Yeah, it is the Silmarillion, I think I've already said, very, very difficult, I find, to read. It's not that it's bad, it's just that it's very difficult to read. Blonde Scales 1, Black Widow, Brown Recluse, Rattlesnake, Copperhead, Water Moccasin. Oh, I've never seen a sea... I know there are sea snakes around here. I've never seen them yet. Chris Robinson, have scorpions too. Check your hiking boots before you put them on in the morning. Yeah, that's always a good tip, I think, around here as well. BJ Sims, deadly stuff as Blonde Scales. Blonde Scales don't like the slide converters. I don't. They work all right. I'm just being picky. But isn't that what we're meant to be? Chris, the Chinese call that a toothed converter, designed for pocket pens where there's not enough space for a full-size converter. Yeah, I can completely see that with a pocket pen, but you know, with the this one, I mean, it's an Indian pen. I don't know. Would have just been nice with a proper one. It works, so that's all that matters. Only got those converters in my M&G fountain pens. BJ, yeah, I've got Diamine Ancient Copper as well. Sorry. I haven't used Autumn Oak that much, which is why I've got it in that one. I don't think I've got Ancient Copper inked up in anything at the moment. But yeah, it's another colour I like. It was actually one of the first Diamine inks I bought was Ancient Copper. Tom Marley. Yeah, Turquoise of the Maze is now Navajo Turquoise. Sorry. Always have Diamine Royal Blue. Yeah, I haven't used it that much. I think it's only the second time I've used it. I love it in that M205. I think that's going to be one of my constant pairings, is that. Diamine Red Dragon. Yeah, I really like Red Dragon. It's obviously it's red, but I'm not sure how best to describe it. It's not quite a crimson, but it's heading towards crimson, but it's got a little bit of brown in it maybe as well. I quite like that. And it's called Dragon, ties in with a lot of my fantasy stuff. Oxblood also, I have Oxblood as well. I've got a number of inks in that family. So I've got Oxblood, Writer's Blood, Shiraz. I've got Merlot, which is a slightly different colour. And then there's another wine one, which is also a slightly different colour. I've got, I wouldn't even like to guess, I've got over 100 I've got well over 100 inks. And I would say at least half of them are various Diamine inks. So we got, oh no, that's a shame. really like. I don't have Majestic Blue. It's one of the ones which I've looked at it, but then I keep thinking, well, I've got plenty of blues at the moment. Maybe the wife, when she lets me buy inks again, that might be one. I know it's on my list to get. Might have a... Yeah, I'm just going to get a new converter. I was actually looking yesterday for pens. I know it's only August, but my wife wants me to start and pick out a pen that I'd like for Christmas so we can make sure we've got in plenty of time. And this was quite funny. I spent about an hour and a half yesterday scrolling through different pen retailers, looking at all the different pens. And I've been given a budget. At the end of it, when I'd finished looking, I said to my wife, "Oh, I don't like any of them." There was nothing which really jumped out. I mean, I'd looked at Pilot pens. I looked at a Pilot 743. Didn't jump out at me. Certainly none of the ones that I found. I've got plenty of narwhals. I did think about a Sailor Pro Gear. I've got a Pro Gear Slim, which I like, but it's a bit small. But when I saw the price of a Sailor Pro Gear, that went quickly onto the reject pile. I looked at Pinida, Aurora, Pininfarina, Leonardo's. Again, I've got loads of... not loads. I've got 3 Leonardo's. So, yeah, an hour and a half, and I ended up with nothing. So I'll be having another session during the week, I think, to see what I can find. Chris Robinson, swapping converters between pens can be a problem. I normally only eyedropper my preppies, but I don't know what it was. There was some reason I wanted only a little bit of ink, which is why I used the converter. Learnt my lesson there now. Wool Hodge been trying out a few of the Sailor chromatic inks. Yeah, they're again. I haven't got any Sailor inks yet. They're on my list to try, but I've got to use a load of my inks up. I've got about 50 ink samples which I'm trying to work through at the moment. I personally haven't tried Pelikan 4001 Brilliant Black. The only Pelikan ink I've got is it's a red colour. I can't remember what it's called. Let me just pull up my database and I can tell you. Just 1 second. Come on. Just waiting for the iPad to start up. So Pelikan, that begins with a P. Just go down my list. I've got Pelikan 4001 Brilliant Red, which to me looks orange. So the brilliant thing about it is it's orange. But that's just me. That's maybe just the way I look at things. Marilyn, Syrah. I may have called it Shiraz. Shiraz is the old world name for the same grape that is Syrah. So I believe New World call it Syrah, Old World call it Shiraz. Only reason I know that is many years ago I did a wine appreciation course. Well, I did a number of them because I like to appreciate wine. And we did a tasting where we did 6 different wines of that Shiraz, and half were Shiraz, half were Syrah. So we were trying like Old World and New World. Majestic Blue is amazing. Favourite blue, that's Marie. Andy, interesting. Blonde Scales 1, I've got 2 ink sample racks and more samples than will fit. Here, what I've got, let me just reach for my box. I can't reach for my box because that's what my laptop is stood on. I've got a box like this, and in it there's some like little, not drawers, but little boxes, and it's about half full of ink samples that I need to try out. I've got that much ink, it's amazing. Marilyn, I think it's good that you called it out because I should use the right name. I say it's just, obviously that wine from last night is still affecting my poor little brain. John Fitch, pens, someone else shares my weakness. When I was looking through the pens, I was saying this to the wife yesterday. There was a load of nice pens, but none of them were jumping out at me. And what I'm finding now, I've got my Platinum, I've got my Pilot Custom 823. I've got a Pilot Custom Heritage 92. I've got a Bennu. I've got, so I've got from a number of manufacturers, I've got example pens. And I don't really want to buy a pen now unless it's something that jumps out at me. I say I looked at the Pilot Custom 743? Not that much difference for brain's gone dead. Yeah, looked at 743, not that much different from the 823 really. So I didn't really see the value in it. Yes, I could maybe look at getting a speciality nib, but again, the sites I was looking at, there weren't that many of the more speciality nibs available, or certainly not in the price range I had. I will not pay more than $400 for a pen. As much as I like the look of it, just too much money. I begrudge paying more than $200 to be honest, but I've got to be realistic as well. BJ, Majestic Blue sheens amazingly with a wet nib. It shines. Was my favourite sheen in ink until Polar Blue came out. Marilyn of, wow, 400 ink samples and 100 bottles. I think if I ever got that many, it'd be divorce time. I think my wife would have had enough. I already get told off enough for having too much ink. Andy, what Twisby pens do I have? I've got some Ecos. I've got a 580, VAC 700R, a Draco. I've got a number of Ecos. I quite like Twisby pens. They're quite nice. One of the things I do find with them, I think that's with a lot of pens, now there's not a lot of innovation going on. So there's not a lot which is really new. Will I buy any more? I don't think I'll buy any more Ecos. I've got, I'll say about 3. I might buy a couple more 580s. I might look at also, there's a 580 mini or something like that, which I may look at. But this year my focus has been on buying Australian pens, so that's why I've not got any more Twisbys this year. Marilyn, yeah, don't buy any more ink, please. I will be getting the Inkvent calendar. I haven't ordered it yet. I need to get that pre-ordered. I can't remember how much it is. I'm going to get it from Cult Pens, but I need to add some stuff into it to take it over the price for free international delivery. Marilyn Lowell. Chris Robinson, this is actually a good segue over. I was going to talk about this in a second. Let me get the right window open. So Chris has sent me these details earlier this week. He's been doing models for 3D printing. And if I go to the screen, so this is on a site called Thingiverse. And so these are the models he's got for ink bottle holders. And he said, if he may do for other bigger bottles as well, but these are the 2 he's got at the moment. So if you're into 3D printing, I think they're a brilliant idea. I don't have a 3D printer, and I've thought about getting one, but I don't think I'd really use it. So I'm not sure, but I think it's a brilliant idea. I've not printed them, but they look awesome. Just a nice way of being able to print at home. So there you've got your ink sample vials. I think these are for Pulp Edition size ones. Let me just grab one. So that's for, go back to the camera. That's for this size. So there's Pulp Edition. This is one which I've managed to empty this week. So I think that's brilliant. Yeah. And this is one thing I love about what we're doing is, building this idea of a community and being able to help each other out and come up with ideas which others could use. And there's one there for the Diamine inks. You may have seen on my videos when I'm doing my inks and my ink samples, I use this. Again, let's go back to the camera now. This actually came from a charity shop. I've got 2 of them. And it takes Robert Oster bottles. It takes the 30ml Diamine bottles really well. The 12ml one, the Inkvent one's a little bit short, but they still go in. And what I've also got this from Bunnings, which is like the main hardware store. This just sits in there, and then my ink sample vial will sit inside it. So that's a good way to be able to hold my ink samples. Not very high tech, but it works. But I like this idea. Pardon me. I like this idea of being able to print out, then you get exactly what you need. Andy has got let me go down, a TWSBI Eco T. I don't have an Eco T, I've just got the standard Eco. I've actually got an Eco in a video coming up in the next week or so, I think. Blonde Scales Cult Pens has got an advent calendar that they're taking pre-orders on. Yeah, I haven't looked at this year's yet. I looked at last year's Cult Pens calendars. There was nothing that jumped out at me. I think they're really brilliant, though. Marilyn, yeah, the small, true. John Fitch got a Parker and a couple of retro 51 World War II airplane models. I've only got one retro 51, and that's the Tornado, but it's copper, really nice, very nice to use. I wanted to say it was the Abraham Lincoln, but I might be wrong with that. I've got 3 or 4 Parkers. To be honest, Parkers are pens that I've used since being a kid. When my first fountain pen when I was at school, it was a Parker. A lot of people collect TWSBI for the colours. Yeah, I think that's really nice. There is a lot out there. Andy, what Australian brands of pens are there? There's quite a few. I mean, some of them are using kit pens. I've recorded a video this week about, let me get it. Is it here? This is based off a kit pen. This was a pen I bought from Fremantle Market. So he bought the kit. So it's not an exciting pen in that respect. But then he made this coating. And it's actually been out, and these are like minerals, I would think, like rocks that is ground up and stuff like that, mixed in with a resin to make the actual body very nice. Other ones I've got, is it here? Where is it? I've got it out somewhere. This one is from Just Turnings. They're based over in Brisbane. This is a Brooks Blanks Golden Blue Jay. Chances are I'm going to be ordering another pen from him later this year. There's a guy, I've actually just been talking to him this morning, Pens by Casey. So I'm looking at one of the pens that he does. He again, handmade, and he was saying he's got about a 5-month waiting list, but they're handmade, so what do you expect? There's another one I've found. I haven't had any of his pens yet. I think he's Sydney based, called I think it's the Pen Bloke. Again, I've been looking at his pens, so there are quite a few out there. I've got another pen. It's away in the box. I'm not going to dig it out. I got from eBay. I think it was about $20 or $30, dirt cheap. Again, based on a kit pen, made in Tasmania, and it's made from golden sassafras, which is an Australian wood. John Fitch got an unused Mont Blanc orange/rust colour from the 70s. Wow, that must be... I wonder, is that like when they still had the really soft, flexy nibs? So Chris, back to them 3D models, he's now done a tray for the Diamine Inkvent. Marilyn uses cereal box and glue in water rolls. Yep. No, you're not being cheap, you're being sensible. I say the reason I've got this, it was 50 cents. And this, I think it was about $2. And I've got this, and I've got a koala version as well. But they're just handy. Yeah, I often refer to it as auto incorrect. Blonde scales, the small vent bottles are in an old cigar box, and I have room for this year's. I'm not sure how well this will come over. I've got these two of these boxes. I'm going to see if I can get it and show you on the other camera. Let me make some space on my desk. Let's see what this comes out with. So here's the top of the box, but if I take that off, so in here, this is all my Diamine inks. So as you can see, I've got quite a few. Got some of the bigger bottles. So here's the ink vents, and then over here, these are the 30ml bottles. And one of the first ones I got, as I said, there is the first one, ancient copper. And then the numbers on the top is just so it makes it easy for me to get to them. So on my iPad, on my Mac, I've got my database with my inks. Just pop that out of the way. I've got my database with my inks, and each one's numbered so I can get to it fairly quickly. Andy is in Brisbane, so I may get the second one you mentioned. So it's just turn-ins. If you go to the Brisbane pen meets, I believe he's one of the organisers. Really good, absolutely awesome pen. I say I intend to get another one. He doesn't just do Brooks blanks, he does all sorts of different blanks. He's even making his own blanks now. If you search on Facebook for just turn-ins, let me just go and get it over here on the screen and I can show you. He's also on Instagram as well. I tend to just go through Facebook. So let's go back to the screen. You know, so these are ones that blanks that he's made himself. Here's some pens. They've got Yoho nibs on them. Very nice bloke, very friendly, very responsive. You know, and does quite a lot of different pens. And a lot of the pens, he's got a number of different price levels. So that's certainly worth looking at. You know, if you're looking for Australian pens, he's very, very good. BJ, I think we'll have to pick up this year's Christmas calendar. Sorry. Yeah, the only problem with it I'm finding is you end up with that many inks because you get 25 inks in it. That's quite a lot. Marilyn Darling, a few. BJ, yeah, that's an ink collection. That was just one box. I've got another box as well. In there, I've got some Pilot of Shizuoku, some Pelican, you know, Van Diemen's inks. BJ, yeah, it's nice to have the variety of inks, but it's also a bit of a pain because, you know, you end up with too many. And then when you come to try and work out what to put in a pen, it's a case of, oh no, what am I going to put in? All right, let me go back to my notes because we've been going for an hour. So I've already spoke about Chris Robinson's stuff there, because that was on my thing. I've spoken about the pen search. So what videos are coming up? So in the last week, Sunday last week, I had the fountain pen revolution, Darjeeling. That was my focus on that. For a cheap pen, and you know, I'm saying cheap, 20, I think it was either 20, 25 Aussie dollars. It's, you know, it's actually not that bad. I did on Tuesday was my launch of my Pens and Use for August, which is a Use Me Up month. So the whole idea is when a pen runs out of ink, it doesn't get refilled, it gets cleaned out. And I'm trying to reduce the number of inked pens I've got. It's not working, it goes the other way, but that's because I've been doing a number of top 5 videos lately. So every time I do a top 5 video, you know, that's another 5 pens that are inked, or at least another 2 or 3 are inked, you know, if I hadn't already got some. Friday, there I released my, what I called a duofold lookalike. So that's where I looked at things like the Jinhao 100, Kaidalu 316. I threw in there Hundian 960, which isn't exactly a lookalike, but I think it's so close. That was an interesting one to compare because I was comparing a number of Chinese pens, but there was also the Conklin Duofold, the Conklin one anyway, and it was quite interesting. And there was a definite big difference between the Chinese pens and the Conklin one. Really could feel the difference when I was writing. Yesterday's video, that was a bit of a, you know, I really like the idea of this, so I did it. I've had for years a Galileo thermometer. That's the big tube with liquid in it with light balls, which then float up and down to tell the temperature. So I looked in a little bit into that and how that works. That was quite interesting. Today's videos, So today is fountain pen focus. Have I got it handy? No, I don't think I have. That's a shame. The pen we're going to focus on today is a Fuliwen 017. So again, Chinese pen, very bright, very colourful, but another pen I enjoy using. Tuesday, I take a look at gold nibbed pens. So I've got 7 fountain pens with gold nibs. So what I do, I'm doing a quick comparison between all 7 of them. So it's not a deep review of each of them, but just looking at what are the differences. And when I filmed it, really enjoyed doing that. Friday, I've got an ink comparison. So Friday, I'm going to be taking a look at Diamine Ghost, which is part of last year's Inkvent calendar. And I'm comparing that against Diamine Earl Grey. Part of this, and I don't know, I need to do a bit more digging, but I went to get the price for Earl Grey from Cult Pens, and they didn't have it listed anymore. So I don't know, has Earl Grey been discontinued or had they just run out of stock? Next Saturday is on my other channel, Tricky Little Questions, is a quiz video. So I think that's a true and false. So there's 10 questions and you have to guess it whether they're true or false. And then on Sunday will be August's inked pens. So that's where I'll be going through this. This is my inked pens holder. There's a quick sneak. I'll be going through that and writing out a list of my inked pens that I've currently got laying around. Some of them I've been using, some of them might have been there for a while. I haven't filmed that yet. I'm going to be filming that on Saturday. So let's just go back to the comments. Blonde Scales, Cult Pens, place to buy Diamond. Absolutely. The actual video on Friday, the Diamond, the Ghost and Earl Grey, I actually show the price on there of buying an ink from, well, hopefully I didn't cut it out, buying an ink from Cult Pens in the UK and buying the same ink from Pulp Addiction over here in Australia. And the ink here is more than double the price of getting it from the UK. Now, yes, getting from the UK, you've got postage, you've got all that to worry about. Where I live, I actually find in terms of postage speed, I get parcels from the UK quicker than I get parcels from Melbourne, which is stupid when you think it's halfway around the world. But that's quite interesting. Yeah, virtually all my Diamine inks I get from the UK. Sorry. Marilyn, Fountain Pen Revolution, great pens, especially if you like flex or wet flowing pens. Yeah, I've only got the cheapo ones. I've got this, I'd say about $20. I've also got the Guru. That was, I want to say about 10 or 15 Aussie dollars. Not expensive. One of the things, when I released that video, one of the comments I have had is they're very expensive to get in the UK. They have to be essentially imported into the UK. So you're paying shipping costs. I think the way the UK do it now, regardless of how much your purchase is, you have to pay like import taxes and stuff like that. So it ends up adding quite a lot of money, so they end up being quite expensive. Andy, get all the fountain pens from Pulp Addiction. If you're willing to look, I would look at Cult Pens and also Apple Boom. Most of my pens, I've got to be honest, come from either Cult Pens or Apple Boom. What I've found is I get between a 20 and 30% saving on most pens. Obviously, you need to compare. And also Cult Pens and Apple Boom, they've got a lot better selection. Got better selection in nib sizes, colours of the pens. Just worth looking. I say the thing you need to bear in mind is postage. I think it's 210 Aussie dollars. If you spend over that, then the postage is free. That's why I try and bank up my purchases so that I can, get that $210, which is why I haven't ordered that Inkvent yet, because I think it's about $160, $170. So I need to find something for, $50, $60 to get into that free tier. And yes, I know I've got to wait for the whole thing until, October when it's released, but depending what I'm buying. So what I'm looking at the moment is most probably some notepads, but the notepads that I like, they don't currently have in stock. I might bite the bullet and maybe I've been looking at a Narwhal original, so I might add one of those in just to bump it up. This is answer my next question. Purple Ditching Ink Vent, $170, which I think is roughly the same as what Colt Pens is. I say it's been a few days since I checked. Marilyn, think going to have to get a new 48 pen case. I mean, that one I got from AliExpress. It was something like $10. Yeah, I do like, for when I'm going out and about, I do have my Galen leather folio. It's empty at the moment because obviously this is where my EDC pens live. So that'll be getting filled up again in a few minutes. But for at home, that 48 one, that's perfect. I don't have any Noodler's Ahabs. To be honest, I don't have any Noodler's. Well, I do. I got the freebie pen that I got when I bought the bottle of Heart of Darkness. Can't remember what it's called. Let me just check. See if I've got it in the database. So going to Noodler's pens. Charlie. I've got a Noodler's Charlie. I say it was a freebie. I like freebies. Andy, interesting. I'm thinking maybe that might be about the Colt Pens comment. Marilyn Darling, how much is shipping? It depends. I say in terms of Australian dollars, $210 gets you free shipping. I haven't looked, to be honest, because it's an excuse to buy some more stuff. Don't tell the wife I said that, though. She'll shout at me. Andy, never realised that it'd be cheaper from Colt Pens. I say I do find a lot of things are a lot cheaper from the UK. Or I say Apple Boom, which is in the Netherlands. They do add on Australian GST as well, so you don't have to worry about GST. So again, worth bearing in mind. Apple Boom, I don't think do free shipping. I might be wrong. But I know the Apple Boom pens I've had, they've been fairly reasonably priced in terms of shipping. Yeah, take into consideration if it's more shipping than worth the adding things on. So that's why I'm waiting really for the black and red notebooks to come back in stock. I'm getting low on them and I need some more. Blonde Scales 1, yeah, hits enough to hit that free shipping. Will Hodge, I think Colt Pens has free shipping to the States with 135, I'm assuming that's US dollars purchase. Yeah, Marilyn calling out, yeah, the Charlie. BJ have an Ahab, decent stiff flex pen, shines with a fountain pen revolution nib. Ahab is definitely a tinkerer pen. I'll have to get one. It's one of those things. It's on the list. I just haven't got round to it. Will Hodge, yeah, the Charlie pen. Blonde Scales 1, yeah, 135 US for free shipping. Marilyn, yeah, the Charlie. Apple Boom, yeah, they've got a store now, haven't they, in the US? Boston, is it? Yeah, Boston. Obviously, not living in the US, it's not somewhere I've been. Who's I seen that has bought something from there? There was, she's a lady, she does ink, a lot of ink ones. Oh, what's her name? Don't you hate it when names go out of your head? We're going to YouTube. Kathy from Gadget Stop 321, that's it. I think she did, has made comments about buying from Apple Boom in wherever it is, in Boston. Will Hodge bought. Yeah, we'll have a chat offline, Marilyn. Thank you for that offer. Really looking forward to trying out some different pens. As I say, this year, I haven't really bought that many. Will Ahab's work great with a Yoho number 6 nibs, especially with stub nibs. They have ebonite feeds also. I do like stub nibs. I've got been getting into 1.1 stubs lately. Really like them. Yeah, BJ Lowell giving away the Ahab. Okay, book of the week. What book have I been reading this week? So I've been carrying on with Faith of the Fallen by Terry Goodkind. I'm now I tell you exactly, I'm 83% of the way through because I'm reading it as an ebook from the library. It's just starting to pay off. It's one of these books, as I think I said, I've been trying to read it for about a year. I have read it in the past. I enjoyed it in the past. I just don't know why. I've been finding the last couple of Terry Goodkind books I've read, it was just so repetitive. You know, you think that the heroes, you know, they're starting to get on with things, starting to move forward, and then they get kicked in the teeth again. But it seems to be the same pattern, and I think that's what I'm not enjoying. It's not getting mixed up enough. From memory, I think that does change in the next book or two. So, you know, we'll be reading that. Once this is finished, might get it finished this week, might not. I'll be going back to Terry Pratchett, and the next one up will be Sorcery. During the week, I was awake a couple of nights ago. You know, like it is, you wake up, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, I was wide awake. So I did sit and read a short story. It was on a website called, I think it was Angel Fire, and it was a Discworld Terry Pratchett short story. And it was based around Nanny Ogg and Granny Weatherwax. To be honest, my two favourite characters. And it was really interesting. It was just a little nice short story about there was going to be like a witches competition, and they didn't want Granny Weatherwax to take part because she always wins. So she doesn't take part, but she still ends up winning. And I just found it really interesting. Nice. I'd say 2 o'clock in the morning I was reading it. It took me about half an hour. Really nice little short story. Just go back and see if there's any more comments. Not seeing anything. Have I missed any? Let me just go up. Message retracted. No. No. So thank you all for your time this morning. We've gone again. I do keep saying this. I am for 45 minutes. We end up with an hour and a quarter. I've just heard the washing machine going, so I'm thinking my wife's dropping a hint that it's time to be finished. Thank you all for your time. Don't forget any comments. Don't forget to like. If you aren't already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. If you're feeling that way, you can join the channel. There is a membership level. Part of the membership level is I release videos a couple of days before they go out to the wider world, so you get early access to them. I'm going to have sometime in the next couple of weeks, I will put out a post to the members to see what else they'd like me to do. You know, I want to make this something that we work on between us. I put out on a Saturday a short video showing all the pens I've used during the week. So that's all there for you to look at. So there is extra stuff if you remember. If you're a member, he says. So thank you all. Will Hodge, bye all. Be safe. Thank you all for joining in. I love doing these, Marilyn. You may hopefully pick that up. That's why I like to make them a bit of a laugh. We'll see you all next week. BJ, most noodles pens need a bit of tinkering. Brilliant. I love tinkering with things. Blonde Scales 1, have a wonderful week. Don't forget to share the videos. Tell everybody about them. The more people that are enjoying them, hopefully we can get more people onto this chat. BJ, have an excellent night all. Chris, enjoy your Sunday. I think Chris is over in Victoria somewhere, so it's about Sunday lunchtime now. So thank you all, and I'll talk to you again soon.